When you first signed on for Saw 3, did you have any idea where your character was going to go, or was it like a one-movie deal?
No, I was threatened by certain producers that if I was a good boy, which I usually am, unfortunately, boring, that it could go somewhere. And the tease came true, and then 4 became a bigger thing for me, 5, bigger 6, and now the wild 3D. It's going to be crazy.
Were you aware of your character's storyline when you first signed on?
No, I had no idea, but there was a possibility. And then when I read 4, I had stuff to do.
Everything changes then.
Yeah, and part of the biggest horror franchise in history, and it's not a bad thing to be a part of.
It's one heck of an honor.
Yeah.
So what is it about Mark Hoffman that's kept you so fully invested in the character for so long?
Well, number one, I was really happy to be a surprise package in 4, and we pulled it off like people didn't know till the end. And then I just kept getting more challenges, became part of Jigsaw's world, learned from Tobin how we worked the character and how much he cared to maintain a certain standard. And I was given a lot of responsibility, and it's worked out pretty good.
So how do you feel about his transformation? Because yes, we know he goes from,
Well, he goes from a naive guy that's seeking revenge because of his sister. He's okay, he's pretty proficient, but then he gets the lessons from, the Jigsaw man. And, philosophically wise, he was there with the cherish your life and the different things that he learned from Jigsaw. But it's kind of wild now because after 6, when I get the horrific ending, I kind of throw the philosophy out the window and say, this, I'm going nuts. So I've gone from A to Z.
Well, even before that, sometimes you're full out gung-ho, everything that Jigsaw believes in, but then other times you kind of like cheat his system a little.
Yeah, well, I think that, it's like great boxing coaches. They know everything about boxing, and their boxers don't do what they tell them sometimes. And I guess that's I think it's more interesting to have a little bit of a flaw as well. Otherwise, I'd just be him. And there's only one him.
Of course.
Yeah.
How is it working with Tobin, by the way?
Great. He's a serious man about his work. A lot of fun, good sense of humor. And I was very impressed by the dedication he had to this. Well, he's part of the baby. He made it his own, and he didn't want to let the fans down ever, which was quite commendable.
It's kind of hard imagining the guy who plays Jigsaw having a good sense of humor.
Oh, I've made him laugh a couple of times, and I was kind of proud of myself, because he doesn't tend to smile a lot. But I got him going a couple of times.
So what is it like for you on set? You're playing this darker character who's always out to get everybody. Is there ever any time to relax?
I relax every time they say cut. I'm joking with the crew. You got to keep the energy up and stuff like that. And if you can crack a few jokes in between, you have energy to be serious when you're supposed to be serious. But if you were serious all day, it'd be like, let me kill myself and get it done with.
It's a good thing that you're not the kind of guy who can't break character on this kind of movie.
Oh, man. You know what? I swear, if you knew what happens behind the scenes. But for some reason, some guys can just click into them and they go action, it's like boom, and then it relaxes me and it relaxes everybody else.
Do you guys play pranks or anything? I'd imagine playing pranks on a set like this might be dangerous with all that stuff.
Well, sort of. Well, here's the thing. In Saw 4, I had to be in that contraption with Donnie Wahlberg when he had the ice squash his head, and I was in that chair, and they had to gag me. And when they yelled cut, I wouldn't stop talking because when you gagged, 8 hours a day for 5 days, it's like you want to say something, but they stopped taking the gag off. They got me. That was one practical joke.
So with the new trailers, we've seen just about everybody but you. Does that have to do with that little incident that happened at the end of 6? Maybe a new look?
I think so. I kind of go, well, I haven't been on a poster. I'm not in the trailer, but it's kind of flattering, I guess, to be the secret.
A lot of pressure there.
Yeah, you could say that, but good pressure.
So without spoiling anything, is there anything you can tell us about your character for the next installment?
Well, all of the lessons pretty much go out the window. And I'm not a happy guy. So I get to do a lot of damage, which is always fun for an actor to do.
So your kind of role in a series like this, does that kind of exempt you from being afraid at all when you're watching yourself?
You know what? Not afraid. What it is when we're doing it and people are in traps and stuff like that, it looks kind of weird. And we joke around about the fact that somebody has to be in a trap for 4 days in a row. But when we actually see the movies, I actually go, oh, shit, because it's like a completely different world with the noise and what you're actually seeing and the impact it has on the crowd.
So it must be really difficult to, I don't know, you've been in a few traps yourself, doing all of that and not having the music, because the music plays a big part, even the theme song.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different, but you got to use your imagination and do what you got to do, and the rest of it. I mean, the movie magic is, the editing and the music and the way the camera works. I mean, when it all comes together, that's why this business is so magical for people.
So do you have a trap from any of the films that kind of stuck with you more, creeps you out a bit?
Not really. I'm glad I got that thing off my head in 6. That's all I can tell you.
Oh,
it
yes.
was awkward and heavy.
So, can you tell me a little bit about shooting in 3D, especially from an actor's standpoint?
Well, you still got to do your job and let the camera hopefully be your friend. But the director's job was more about filling up the background and filling up the foreground and giving it more depth. And it just took a little longer than usual because it had to be very precise with lighting and stuff like that.
Did that kind of leave you, to yourself with your character more?
Well, no, it made me walk around the offices and bust the crew's balls every day. It just gave me more rein to play around because I had downtime, when I'm not going to sit there in character. Life's too short.
So what kind of 3D are we going to see in this? Is it going to be like knives flying at you, or more of like a background changing?
No, I haven't seen anything, but I've heard that people will be ducking and stuff when the blood and the arms start flying at them. It really pops into your face, which is kind of cool.
Do you like 3D personally?
I've never seen a 3D movie ever.
Not even Avatar? Oh wow. When are you scheduled to see this for the first time?
October 27th.
Soon now.
October 27th. It's coming. Well, I will see Avatar because I'm an idiot. I just didn't get around to it. I actually wasn't around when it came out. But Jim, I'll watch it.
So, this is the last Saw movie, but is it really the last?
Well, from what I'm getting, yes. But, if the fans come and business goes well, you never know if they'll try one more. But, the real challenge is to how much better can you make it and how much more can you do. It's bittersweet because we had a good time doing it.
So you kind of grown close over the years? I'm sure you're going all miss each
crew,
other.
Yeah. I mean, the actors came and went because everybody does, but the crew and everything like that. The city of Toronto was very good to us.
So assuming you guys did go into this one planning it for it to be the last, is there a serious payoff in the end? Something that's going to leave the fans happy just in case?
From what I've heard, yeah.
You don't know the ending?
Well, we shoot different endings, but I know that a lot of stuff is pieced together properly. And what I've also heard that if you haven't seen the first 6, you could still see this on its own. That means it's its own movie.
That's quite vital, considering anyone could follow the actual killings and the main guy involved in the trash. But then there's this whole backstory too. Yeah. Did you ever find yourself confusing?
Well, yeah. I go up to the directors every day and say, "What are we doing? What happened? What's going on?" I mean, reading the script for me if I had to piece everything together myself, I'd still be shooting it. So Kevin was a great help, and Bousman was a great help, and David Hackle was a great help.
What's it like staying within the same franchise, but going from director to director?
It's actually great because every director is great in their own way, and all of them have a great sense of humor, and I find that to be necessary. And if a bad apple came along, I'd have a different answer, but I can't say anything about it. They're all great.
Is there any way you guys have to kind of keep the tone and certain elements the same, even when the people change?
No, you know what? Well, I tried to keep the humorous parts humorous and then the serious stuff serious, but they all have their own sense of humor. And, Bousman's like a wild, madcap kind of guy. Hackle, a little softer, but still very funny. And Kevin, the same thing, very subtle, but gets the joke. But they were all very, very prepared and they knew what they were doing, so it made our lives a lot easier.
So being that this is one of, the most iconic horror franchises now in the genre, is there anything, if it does come to an end again, that you hope it kind of instills in the genre?
I think that's up to the people to make their decision. All I know is this: it's going to be remembered for a long time, and it's pretty hard to beat. So, I guess everybody on our end's done their job, and without the people, there is no genre, no franchise. So, everybody's sort of happily meeting in the middle.
So now for you, what's next?
For me, I did a movie called Sinners and Saints, which is a real hardcore kind of action thing with some great people. And, you know, I wouldn't mind getting a job where I can kiss a girl or something. Maybe that'll happen.
I'd like to see you in a comedy now.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Romantic comedy.
And hopefully make people laugh. You never know what's going to come, but as long as it's quality, that's the main thing.